Weight loss. 90% of the world that's in the gym's trying to do it. People that aren't are either so skinny they can't put muscle on, or of course, the bulkers. But even then, those guys trying to get big, they're eventually going to be in the same boat as all the rest of us. And that is trying to lose weight, trying to get lean. It's something that people in the gym are constantly trying to achieve. It's almost not really a start and finish kind of deal. You could have goals and you want to reach a certain goal and you're happy there. But there's always something in your mind. I mean, it's what helps us make good eating decisions, good exercise decisions. And you can put a greater purpose to all of it, but at its very core, the number one reason to eat healthy and be healthy is to avoid storing a lot of body fat. Anyone that tells you otherwise, maybe they have a greater message, but at the root of it, it's something we can all relate to. And I always think about this a lot because you hear excuses and some are better than others, right? Some are obvious, just BS. But other ones you kind of have to think about. So for the sake of this episode, I've kind of split it up into two different reasons on why some people really struggle to lose weight. And I'm just giving kind of 3 bullet points on each one just to keep it short. But there's really 2 reasons I see from people that really struggle, really can't lose weight. And that is misinformed reasons, or what I'm called delusion or mental blocks. That sounds kind of nasty, but you know, it is what it is. So I'll start on the less intense of the 2 reasons, and that's misinformed reasons. And the reason I'm calling them misinformed and not delusion is because it's not out of the ordinary to not know some of these things. You would have to really go out of your way to learn some of this stuff. And that I really can't blame people too much. They have jobs, kids, family, other hobbies, whatever. They don't have time to get this in depth about losing weight. They'll just try to eat better and hope for the best or work out a little more and assume that is going to take place. And it may. It really may. But the one thing I see a lot, a situation happened here at the gym not long ago with one of my clients. And that is, let's say you go start a diet. Like, okay, 2,000 calories a day. That's where we're going to start. And that sounds great, right? Because that's the recommendation. 2,000 calories or less a day is a good eating plan. But the problem is, what if your resting metabolic rate, how many calories you burn at rest, what if that's not even near 2,000? What if it's 1,400, right? We have a problem now. You have an excess of 600. I know you can, lifestyle of walking around and exercise isn't included in all that, but if you don't even have your base number, that can make eating the correct amount of calories kind of tricky. You could eat 2,000 calories a day, perfect, to the dot, recording every meal, every bite, and your weight's just staying the same. You're not losing any weight. Well, that's when you take a metabolic test or something like that and try to figure out what your actual number is and then adjust your daily calories to that. So that's one, which if you don't take a metabolic test, you have no way of actually knowing what your resting metabolic rate is, no clue what your metabolism is. So there's the first one. The second one is operating under the assumption that you burn the same calories as the next person. Assuming that calorie burn is a consistent thing is not only not true, not even really a little bit, it's such a big range, but it's something that it can cause you to overeat because you think you burned so many, right? I can run 5 miles and my wife can run 5 miles. I'll burn twice the calories of her because I weigh more. I have, more muscle mass than her. And not in our case, we're about the same, but I mean, if your fitness level is better or worse, that can change how many calories you actually burn during an exercise. And one thing we have nowadays that was supposed to fix the problem are things like Fitbits, Apple Watches, heart rate strap. I wear mine all the time when I do cardio. And they're great tools, but it's nearly impossible for those things to accurately calculate how many calories you burn. If you use enough of these devices, you find which one's the lowest. And that's probably the one you should go with most of the time. The heart rate monitor does a good job of tracking your heart rate, but then you need to do a calculation to see how many calories you actually burned. It tries to give you an estimation. And what I do personally, I just knock off 10% right away. If it says I burned, 2,000, I'll take off 200. You guys can do math. That was unnecessary. But you get what I'm saying. And the last thing once again, this is a misinformed reasons I'm giving you right now, is when it comes to macronutrients. Now what that means, that's carbs, fats, proteins. I myself am not a victim, but I'm at fault for assuming a lot of things when it comes to macronutrient distribution also. I was very much high protein, low carb, moderate fats, and for some people, you know what, that works great. But one size doesn't fit all. And when I was in college, it worked great. I was lean. Granted, I was also in my early 20s, very early 20s. But the next person, to me, might operate much better on a high carb diet. Now, as far as figuring out which one you are, there's no way to definitively figure out. You're never going to get an exact measure of, oh, you should eat, 53% carbohydrates and, 27% fat, yada, yada, yada. And that can be very frustrating because if you just know, hey, you're going to process protein the best. Yeah, okay, I can eat meat all the time. I can drink protein shakes, all that kind of stuff. But since that doesn't exist, we have these 3 body types that tend to do better on certain type of macro distribution. You have what's called a endomorph, a mesomorph, and an ectomorph. So stay with me here. An endomorph, normally short, stocky, will hold a lot of muscle, but will also hold a lot of fat. A mesomorph is right in the middle between endomorph and ectomorph. So maybe I'll go ectomorph first. Ectomorph are the skinny guys. Lean, don't put on much body fat or muscle. So there's kind of a catch there. But those are the guys that tend to operate better on a high carb diet. Endomorphs tend to do better on a high protein, moderate fat, low carb diet. And mesomorphs hit the jackpot. They're right in the middle. As long as they stay balanced, they'll be fine from a macronutrient standpoint. Now, calorie deficit affects everybody. And no matter how you space out the calories, it's not going to make a difference when it comes to weight loss. But there's certain things that, for instance, I assumed I was always, because I am more of an endomorph, I've always assumed high protein, decent fat, low carb. But the problem with that, and I notice it with a lot of people that eat that way, and I've since gotten away from it. I don't lift as much weight as I used to. My body doesn't need that amount of protein anymore. Therefore, a lot of it just goes to waste. So I've switched to fueling my body with more carbs lately in my older age. And one of the problems with these high protein diets is fiber. For a guy, I'm about 200 pounds. A guy my size probably should get 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. And if you really look at fiber-rich foods, it's not like fiber is so plentiful. If I needed 30 grams of protein, I have a shake 5 feet away from me. I can put 1 scoop of it in, shake it up, and drink it. No problem. But if you want fiber, I think I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but like a bowl of oatmeal, like a cup of it might give you 8 grams of fiber, something like that, 6. A whole avocado has 10, something like that, but it also has a ton of fat, so you really don't want to do too much there. And fiber does such a good job. It's in vegetables and fruits. That, bottom line, that's where you get a ton of it. That's where the importance of fruits and vegetables comes in. Besides the vitamins and minerals, you have all that good fiber that helps regulate so many things. But metabolically, the better your intestines can function, the better you will perform metabolically, the more your body will. It'll run cleaner, smoother, you'll digest everything better, you'll absorb the nutrients better, and you'll just feel lighter. The less garbage you have sitting inside your body, the better, right? Makes sense. Sounds like common sense, right? But myself, I've never really thought fiber. I always thought, older people have to worry about that. But it's something important, especially if you're going to do a high protein, medium fat diet. And I'll tell you why I didn't get enough fiber is because you're so worried about carbs when you're going heavy protein and heavy fats, because that's eating up most of your calories. So mentally, what a lot of people do is they just forget the carbs. They think, bowl of oatmeal, I'm not going to eat a whole meal of just carbs. That makes no sense. I got to get protein in every meal to reach these goals, this macronutrient goal of protein that I have. And what happens is maybe it's only a half cup of oatmeal because you don't want all the calories at breakfast, right? You want to get all your protein calories in because you have a long day ahead of you. So the idea of having a medium to high calorie meal of strictly carbs is not forbidden, but it's not something you think as being efficient, right? You think about, I'm blowing all my carbs out right now. When the truth is you're not. It just seems that way, especially in the morning. Morning's the time, eat oatmeal. I know it's the oldest story of eating oatmeal for breakfast. It's right there with eggs as probably the most popular breakfast food. But that's one tip. If your macronutrients, if you're going protein heavy, make sure you get a bowl of oatmeal or something in the morning. Take some kind of fiber supplement. So that helps that particular eating style big time. But my point to wrap it all up, maybe your body does better with one type of macro distribution. Maybe it doesn't. Figuring that out is mostly trial and error. You can use the kind of rule of thumb I just gave you with 3 body types. If you're really skinny, go carb heavy. If you're short and stocky, go protein heavy, low carb. Make sure you get your fiber though. And mesomorphs, you guys do whatever you want. Y'all seem fine. So on to reason number 2, the delusion/mental blocks. Mental blocks is just a nice way of saying delusion. I don't have as much mercy for these reasons. They're a real thing. And maybe if you do these yourself, you genuinely believe, yeah, Garrett doesn't know what he's talking about. I actually do. I don't do what he says. Let's check it. It's kind of like, you know that skinny friend you had? And when you saw him, you would just go to eat pizza. And he could eat a ton of pizza. And he just never gained weight. People tell me that all the time. And they'll quickly go to, oh, he's got such a high metabolism. Man, get that crap out of here. No one has that high of a metabolism where they could eat pizza all day and stay skinny. Just because you saw them eat pizza that moment of the day, you're not with them the other 23 hours. And even if they say they eat all the time, they're full of it. No one's doing that. They're probably eating 1 egg, 2 eggs for breakfast. You know what I mean? Like these real low-calorie meals, they're just not eating much. And when you see them at dinner time, because you're eating with them and they're eating a lot, that could be their only big meal of the day. There's plenty of real explanations. It's like a magic show, right? You don't just assume the magician can perform magic. He's tricking you. He's an illusionist. Same thing goes with the skinny guys that eat all the time and nothing happens. Get out of here. Those guys don't do much, or they're working out all the time. They're not eating a ton of crap. So that's kind of the start to it. And that leads me, it's kind of a little side rant, actually. But it leads me to other deceptions. And the first one I have is portion sizes. I am guilty of it as much as anybody else. If you have a diet, let's say you get a nutritionist, and they say, okay, for breakfast, you can have 2 tablespoons of peanut butter on toast. Okay, get a spoon, and nobody gets a tablespoon and measures out 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. Let's be real. Everyone puts as much peanut butter as possible on that spoon, and that they call it 1 tablespoon. You've immediately just added 200 to 300 calories to that piece of toast that weren't supposed to be there. Portion sizes are so important. Avocados, same thing. If you have, I'm going to have avocado toast, I'm going to put an entire avocado on 2 pieces of toast. Man, that's a 500 calorie dinner. And that's before you add anything else. That's just the bread and the avocado. Fats are so high in calorie, I don't care that it's good fats. Avocado is a good fat. I hear you. It's still fat. And you still can't eat too much of it because it still stores in your body as fat. Whatever chain of triglyceride it is, it's still fat. I don't care if one's better for energy or one's not, right? Nuts are the same way. How big is your handful of almonds, right? Is it 15 almonds? That's what they talk about. That's an ounce of almonds. An ounce of almonds isn't grab it and maybe there's 22, 25. And I know it sounds like nothing. It's maybe 80, 100 more calories. But if you're doing that every night, you're talking about an extra 700 calories in a week. And if you're trying to lose fat, you can't be adding an extra 700 a week. It's hard enough to lose a pound a week. 700, you're adding, a quarter of that right back. So I guess the moral of the story here is don't assume. Measure your stuff. Everybody's kitchen has half a teaspoon measurer to a full cup to multi-cup in the liquid measuring cup. Everyone has it. This kind of goes hand in hand with nutritional values of certain things. Some people will assume things. So some bread you buy, let's say it's 60 calories a slice. Well, some bread's 120 calories a slice. What I can see people doing is, and I've kind of caught myself almost doing it, is you just assume every bread without thinking about it too much. You just think, oh, bread, okay, I got 120 calories with 2 slices. Man, check that bread. Is it really 220 or is it actually 120? See what I'm saying? And both these things are almost, it's like intentional ignorance. It tastes better, you feel fuller, and you also feel like you're being healthy, and you're almost blocking out the fact that it's not actually as low calorie as I thought, or as I mean for it to be when I'm calculating everything I've eaten and all that. You're fudging the numbers, right? And it's self-destructive, but it's something mental, because losing weight is hard, man. It is such a tough thing to do for anybody that's ever been overweight or even just struggles to keep a certain level of leanness. It's so easy to have intentional ignorance, or I can even call it subconscious ignorance. I mean, that's fine. I'm not going to get mad at anybody for that. But it's something you got to get out of the habit of. Just being honest with yourself of what you're eating will ultimately lead to better things. Because at least if you know you're eating too much, you can stop eventually. If you think you're eating healthy, dinner you may not be as strict. Like, oh, well, I only ate 1,500 calories today. But truth is, your peanut butter at breakfast was more. You used a whole avocado. You had 7 ounces of meat or 8 ounces of meat instead of 6. All of a sudden, you don't have 700 spare calories at the end of the day. You have 0. So now everything else is going above what was a deficit is erased. And if you're not operating at a calorie deficit every single day, you're not going to lose weight. My second point is binging. If I hear one more person tell me they only cheat on Saturdays, I'm going to lose it. You know what cheat meals are for? Cheat meals are for bodybuilders and fitness competitors and models and people that operate at an extremely low body fat percentage. If you have 30% body fat, you do not get a cheat meal and pretend that it's helpful. It's not. I don't want to hear about it satisfying cravings, because truth is, if you go 3 or 4 days without something, you're not going to crave it anymore. That's just the way it works. Pregnant wife may disagree with me big time on that one. She gets a pass. She's grown a baby. She can crave whatever she wants whenever she wants. That's different. But sugar, for instance. I just got to have sugar in my coffee. Man, if you went 4 days without it, you would not care if there was sugar in your coffee or not. These sweets especially are an addictive substance. And if you just quit them, you're going to be fine, right? It's not drugs. You're not going to be in a cold sweat at night because you decided to stop eating sugar. It doesn't work that way. And the truth is, as far as these cheat days on Saturdays that I hear, it ends up not being Saturday. It ends up being Friday night, all day Saturday, probably not working out either, and then on to Sunday. And then maybe Sunday night they eat healthy, right? Or diet starts on Monday. You know what I'm saying? First of all, the whole it used to be a cheat meal is the original idea of it. People that really know what they're doing and are good at managing their weight at a low body fat percentage, they might have a cheat meal every other week. Big old bowl of spaghetti, something like that. But if you're on the mission of losing weight, this already hard mission, you cannot just sabotage yourself on the weekends. And even if you don't think you're binging a lot, I can think of 3 or 4 people off the top of my head who have no idea that they're binging. They think they're doing good, and it is crap. They're not. There's no place for it, especially if you're not working out every day. And that was kind of a bonus one I was going to throw in at the end, but I'll just say it now. If you're trying to lose weight, you have to work out every single day. I don't want to hear about rest days. No one outside of high school and college athletes or intense powerlifters or bodybuilders are stressing their bodies so much that they need an off day of doing something. I'm talking walking on the treadmill, just breaking a sweat. There's not many people. I go to a bunch of gyms around the city. It's not just here. I go to LA Fitness. I'll go to Houston Gym. I don't see anybody pushing their bodies so hard that a rest day is necessary. Especially not people that are out of shape or overweight. I don't see them. They're not running gassers and pushing sleds and lifting for a straight hour with someone yelling at them to where they have to fail out all the time. It just doesn't happen. I understand taking a break. I understand the people that can do it. But to think you need a rest day, therefore you take, a day off. I had one guy tell me he was going to take a day off to sleep and catch up on some sleep. Man, get out of here with that. That is BS if you're trying to drop weight and you're doing stuff like that. You can get on the treadmill for 20 minutes. You can go walk outside at a good pace for 20 minutes. If you're on a mission to lose weight, there is no room for binging and taking days off. The last thing, no one will like this one. The last thing is the delusion that if you're trying to lose weight, there are certain alcohols you can drink to achieve low-calorie success and continue losing weight. First of all, vodka is not 0 calories. I cannot stand hearing it. It's sugar. It's alcohol. Alcohol is sugar. It's a carb, and it's a carb you can't use as energy, which means it gets stored. You have to burn that off. I don't have the article in front of me or the research, but alcohol, you have something like a 12 to 24-hour window to burn it off before it gets stored as fat. It's awful. It's the worst thing you can do. If you're trying to lose weight, number one, I'd say cut out the drinking. First thing I would say. Secondly, if you have to drink, 2 drinks, right? But these people, they'll go out, say they go out Friday night for dinner, Saturday night for dinner, and I'll hear something like, okay, I only drank vodka soda. Well, how many? Oh, like 3 or 4. BS. If you were out till 2 a.m., you started at 7, you did not drink 4. Because we're talking about single shot, right? God forbid it's a double shot of vodka. Every shot of vodka is 64 calories, right? Doesn't sound like a lot. But if you have 4 or 5 on Friday, 4 or 5 on Saturday, there's 650 calories of just garbage calories. And those are single shots. Most people get doubles. Let's say you have 3 doubles. I mean, right there, you're talking, is that 6 shots each time? And that's assuming you get the 0-calorie mixer. And assuming the bartender doesn't add sugar. And assuming you're not eating more because you're drinking and having fun and picking at finger foods at a house party, or you're at dinner and you're ordering dessert because everybody's been drinking and it's fun. You know, we'll eat something big. We're not going to order salads, right? No one wants to be a buzzkill at dinner. If you're trying to lose weight, you can't do it. And I know it sucks and it's not fun, but losing weight is a serious thing. It's not something that's just going to come easy. I know I sound a little fired up about it, but the excuses I hear on a daily basis are just insane and they drive me nuts. And it's not like I don't like the people or respect them. It just drives me nuts that I cannot express how important it is to cut these things out if you want to be successful, right? Like to stop the drinking, you would think sounds easy. And some people do for a little bit, and it's good. But the minute you start back on it, it's tough because not only the drinking, I didn't even talk about hangovers. You don't want to go work out the next day when you're hungover. That leads to a couple days of not working out, and then that deficit you built during the week is gone. It's useless. You don't have it. So now you got to start over again. Scales up. You're holding a bunch of water. You have all this extra sugar stored in your body. It's just not a good way to do it. It's just not successful. So that's about it on weight loss for this one. Definitely won't be the last episode on it, but those are just the few things, the 2 reasons I find to be pretty common, unfortunately. The misinformation and the delusion. Hope you found something useful, and hopefully you can relate to it. Maybe you do one of these things and you realize, like, man, I do that. I need to cut that crap out. Guys, thanks for checking out Quick Sessions Podcast. Be sure, if you got a minute, to head to the Apple iPod store. Give us a nice little 5-star rating if you think it's worth it. Write a review. You can thank the great production team over here at Quick Session Podcast Incorporated. And I'll see you guys next time.